Hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Know Traitors over here on RHAP. Hope you have had a good week. We're here to talk about Celebrity Traitors UK Season 1, Episodes 3 and 4, aka week number 2, as the fun does not stop in that castle in Scotland because, my God, this cast has come to play and to entertain, and they are fulfilling both of those things very well. I am your host, the Duke of Deception, back at it once again. With me, as always, the one and only Annabel, the Pharaoh of Flap Flap. Annabel, how are you doing?
Oh, like a pussy deep in the well, Pooya. I am living for it.
One of us had to open with that. Now, here's my question to you as the American on the podcast. Did she mean cat?
Yes, she meant cat.
Okay.
She meant cat, but everybody got the double entendre, and that's what made it funny.
Yes, because I spent a gross amount of time trying to figure out how that made sense as a sexual innuendo, only to then have Liana be like, she meant cat, right? I was like, oh, that's what it was. It was not what I was thinking. So
yeah, don't ask me which nursery rhyme it was, but there is one about putting a pussy down a well, and as in a pussy cat, and that's definitely what she was referring to. But she's a little bit cheeky. She refers to Wassy as delicious this week. She had a little flirt with Rugby Joe last week. She knows what she's doing.
oh, she's amazing. All right, so it's called Ding Dong Bell. Ding Dong Bell, pussy's in the well. Who put her
There we
in?
go.
Little Johnny Flynn. Who pulled her out?
Oh, I do
Little
know
Tommy
this one.
Stout. What a naughty boy was that to soak a pussycat. Ooh.
Yes, I do know this one.
But never did him any harm, but scared all the mice in the farmer's barn. Okay. What a banger. 10 out of 10. Would listen to it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe that can be our new intro music.
Yeah. But like the explicit version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, before this podcast gets turned off by everybody, this was a fun week. I, for one, first of all, we're about to talk spoilers, so if you didn't know that already, catch up and then play back. The fact that Jonathan is still in that castle and murdered his entire car is ridiculous to me. I cannot believe this is the timeline we're in.
Absolutely crazy. I couldn't have been more wrong in my predictions last week for banishments. Watching the episodes and who I thought was going to get banished each time, it was just shock twist after shock twist. And shout out to Jonathan, absolutely nailed it. And you're right, he's orchestrating these banishments. He takes a wild swing murder, gets away with it. We've definitely got to talk about how he pulls that off. And apologies to the people in the YouTube comments because it deeply upset people last week when I referred to him as working. It's ITV. I'm sorry. I did say I live in Australia. I'm very out of touch. And I'm going to say more wrong things. So take this as a blanket apology in advance.
Yeah, like we might not know what network stuff is on, but like I feel like we kind of cooked last week. And then like, we joke and jest. We appreciate you trying to correct us, in honesty, because ultimately I feel like the reception has been very good. Y'all pulled up and showed out for the video. About 10,000 of you came in to watch. So guess what, baby? We're doing video all throughout the season. So enjoy the fun that we're going to have here as I pull my notes up.
And Pooya said if we got more, he would do it shirtless.
Did I say this?
I remember it happening.
If you are for that, sound off in the comments. If you are against that, I'll know if you're against that. I don't need to read that, okay? I don't need that hurting my confidence, okay? All right, anyway. Here we go. We got the graphic. I've updated it with all the new entries, Annabelle, the 3 banished and the 3 murdered, which is funny because leaving episode 2, there was only 1 murdered, no banished, and that was it. We have now gotten 5 bodies since then.
It's been an absolute bloodbath, and I am just gutted to lose some of these people. I mean, Nico, Tom, and Ruth were standouts. No shade to Tamika. I'm sure she would have been lovely, but we didn't see a lot. There were so many moments throughout these episodes where I'm texting my sister and I'm like, oh, Nico and Tom would have gone for the shield. Oh, Ruth would have pushed for him.
I feel like we're quickly seeing some of the more vocal and maybe chaotic, but definitely entertaining people getting taken out here, leaving the door open for the other people who are in positions of power to just run the game. But there has been some intrigue there. Now, I want to say, are these, and I'm just checking here to verify, Annabelle. So outside of Kat, we lost our other three youngest participants this week. Because Nico was 27, Ruth was 29, Tom was 31, Kat is 25. The next oldest person is Joe, the rugby player, who's 35. So
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, the only person who, or only people who seemed to think there would be a young traitor were Ruth and
the
Nico. Those are the
youngins.
two we saw having that conversation. So Kat
Mhm.
is flying under the radar. Celia kind of threw her name out there, but just in the chaotic way that Celia will throw out someone random and never stick with it. So Kat's looking pretty, but yeah, the age range is skewing older now. That said, because the cast is so strong, we don't really have any duds. I mean, David's kind of a bit quiet and bland, but very sexy. Kate has absolutely no idea what's going on, but she's chaotic. And the rest of them are just, big, funny characters. I'm sad to have lost people, but it's not like we sometimes get in the US where the good ones go out first and then it's a snooze fest for weeks.
We're not in the dud zone. I agree. I feel like single-handedly, Celia is carrying a lot of moments on her back. Celia has the biggest fan and newest fan in me. I will protect her with my life. I understand Nick Mohammed more than I ever have before. I get it now. I get it. I would have also been looking for a shield for her because my God, she's so funny. I also want to say that I feel bad because Liana keeps telling me Lucy is hilarious and great, but the show ain't giving us Lucy. And then because Liana caught up with the episodes today and she was like, pencil her in for the finals. I don't think Lucy's going anywhere. And I agree. I think Lucy could be in our final fire for sure.
Absolutely. So there were so many votes all over the place in episode 3, the first episode of
Oh
this
my
week.
God.
The only people who didn't get votes were the two Joes,
Mm-hmm.
Lucy, Nick, Mark, and Claire. And people, well, Claire's now gone. People are looking at Mark. Nick's name does come up. And I worry about the Joe's longevity for murders. Lucy has no suspicion, and no one is looking to murder her because they're not taking her as a serious threat. I agree. I think Lucy is making it to the final fire.
Yeah, and the shortlist for this upcoming murder that we got is Charlotte, David, and Kate. So
Yeah.
the Joes are safe from that one. Nick is safe from that one. Lucy's safe from that one. But I think everyone else should be shaking a little bit. But Lucy, I think, is going to be all right because also some of her suspicions have not really landed, which I think only helps in this instance. Now, you mentioned briefly the episode 3 banishment. I would like to go there as well. Not the first one that had Nico leaving, which, by the way, couldn't have been more sad that I was right from last week's predictions. But
What happened there? I was
piled on.
shocked. I'm sorry. I was shocked. It was a massive pile on, and you could
Mhm.
just tell he was absolutely devastated.
He was. I think there's a level of, and obviously, I will say this, I could be wrong, but to me, it feels like he was the easiest vote out. He is the least celebrity of all of them there. It's kind of like again, I don't know how famously I have enjoyed the David historian content, documentaries and such, but he might be the least famous after Nico, maybe even still more famous than Nico, but Nico's a YouTuber. It was such an easy sell for them to vote out the YouTuber once they're sus on him. So it didn't surprise me. It just made me sad for him. And the reason why I felt like they understood what they were doing and they're voting out the YouTuber is the amount of content we saw for the next 30 minutes bigging up Nico in every scene. He was so amazing. He could have killed it. He would have been such a good traitor. He would have been such a good detective. He would have been such a good faithful. It's like, okay, yeah, but y'all banished him. So we should move on now because you chose for him not to be there anymore.
And I just think that was a bit of a mistake. I mean, I agree. It was the easy vote. He was perhaps had some of the least connections here. We do hear that they think perhaps Jonathan made that alliance for the benefit of Nico and Ruth because they knew the least people there. And it is a popularity contest at the end of the day. Nico, I'm really sorry you lost it.
Which I'm sorry, but Claire and Ruth, from the minute Nico's out, bring up, hey, us two, Nico and Jonathan, were in a car ride on the way here the first day before the show started. And he said, we should have an alliance to work together and like at least to keep each other safe. And Jonathan was like, no, I didn't say that. They were both like, no, you did say that. They have both left. So before we get any further, and I know we usually save our predictions for the end, Jonathan ain't surviving this upcoming episode, right? Because if he does, he might be one of the best traitors of all time. Because how are you going to make people forget this when everybody has, like, those two screamed it? That's all. Most of the content we got from Ruth and Claire was, no. Trust me, he did say that. He did say alliance. Why would the two faithfuls lie about Jonathan?
Yeah, look, the thing is, he defends himself with such conviction. He's a great actor. He doesn't get too defensive or aggressive or concerned about it. Unlike Alan's name is barely floated and he starts having a tizzy. It's like, forget about the murders, my name's out there. Whereas Jonathan says, look, it's not a bad thing my name's out there. It stops me from getting murdered. Also, guys, like, no, this is how I think it happened, but I can't defend a negative.
He does do that a lot, where he does a lot of like, I can see why you see it that way. I don't really have a good answer for why otherwise, but I just get how you're looking at it, which is not a bad defense until you get deeper in the game where you're like, but why is this happening? Also, I think the other part of it is I just didn't expect that double bluff to work so well as it did with Ruth. I genuinely thought that was going to have him dead to rights. It didn't. And now I think he's in a situation where, and this was a theory that was presented by Liana. So let me see what you think about it. So obviously we have this big, they're calling it the big, I don't remember the exact word,
the big dogs.
The big dogs collision.
Big dogs.
Yeah. The Jonathan's on one, like Claudia made it. So Jonathan's on one end as the traitor, Steven's on one end as the faithful, and there are two teams going at each other, or at least they think Jonathan's the traitor of the two. So not a bad theory, not bad metagame read at all. They kind of nailed it there. Is there a realm, Annabelle, where they're like, okay, yes, this is happening. Yes, we're kind of aware of it, but like we can't get it, make that be obsolete by episode 4, right? We got to let it go a little longer. What do you think the odds of that are?
I don't think so, no. I mean, I do think that they're keeping Stephen Fry alive because they know he's such a big deal. But Claire Balding, as you saw in episode 4, is a national treasure as well, and they still went for her. I don't think that the players themselves are, trying to meta out the season in terms of, well, no, we need to keep the big dog storyline going. Look how passionate Mark cares about this, how devastated he is. I think the reality is these people have very close, decades-long, in some instances, relationships with Jonathan Ross. So to come for him without being fully convinced, they can't do it. I think it's why a lot of them are thinking, all right, if we think it might be Jonathan, who could be another person? Let's look at perhaps Charlotte Church. It's Jonathan is able to leverage the existing relationships that he has, sprinkle a little bit of strong argument on top of that. And I think that's how he's genuinely keeping people on side.
And it's working, to his credit. I mean, I think that we were accurate last week when we predicted that of the 3, he was going to end up being in the weakest spot. He still has influence, but his name is by far and wide the most out there. And then with Alan and Kat, kudos to both of them. For very different reasons, they're going relatively undetected. Obviously, Celia has kind of named both of them at one point. But I think that they're both relatively unscathed, although Celia does vote for Kat in that this third episode Banishment when she was like, I said your name and you look very nervous the rest of the roundtable. So I threw a name out there. Doesn't seem to have done much else. And Alan has just the most amazing way of deflecting that I've seen on any iteration of this show. It's so charming. It's so easily disarming the way he jokes about, and like jokes directly at a thing that's accusing him. And all you hear on the other end is just chuckles and laughter. Like it gets them every time. And it's so impressive to me.
Yeah, even when he's sprinkling out things that should be taken as clues, They're like, it's Alan being Alan. And he's really
Mhm.
able to ride that personality wave. It will be interesting to see if he can execute once it gets to crunch time. Once we get to the end, is he going to be able to swing things his way? At this point, he isn't pushing anything. He isn't making anything happen. He's riding under the radar. Whereas Kat, I've got a lot of faith, can be strategic and make moves happen when she wants them to happen. But he, as you say, is just doing a phenomenal job of deflecting.
Yeah, and to me, it's very impressive. It's something to behold. I will say, to me, I feel like Kat is playing the game the most regular anybody here is playing it. Like, she's playing the most by the book Traitors game you'd see in a regular season, if that makes sense. There's nothing unorthodox about what she's doing, but she's killing it. Like, she knows what she's doing. Either she did her homework or she just fit her like a glove. So I do love that. I do like Alan catching some heat, because in the murder of Paloma, the least likely person to have done that would be him. Therefore, it could be him. I think that's a very interesting way for it to land back on you.
Oh, and he was furious with Claire over it. Then in the first breakfast we see, he's laying into Claire and saying, "Oh, well, if you don't want any heat, you shouldn't have come for me." And he's flipping out at the end of episode 4. And Joe's like, "Why do you care, bro? Like, we should be focused on the murders right now." And Alan's like, "Well, I just don't like getting votes."
I wrote down the exact quote he gave us. Did I not?
Start of episode 4. It's start of episode 4, the breakfast.
Yeah, where he said something along the lines of, "Well, if you don't vote my name if you don't want criticism," or something like that. Like, that was snippy but perfect. Also, he's the one who was like, "Who would murder an Olympian?" And then they proceeded to laugh about it for like a good 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's amazing.
So
I also want to call the attention. So, first of all, Jonathan Ross getting a lot of heat for the idea of floating an alliance. We also find out that Jonathan Ross is a super fan and has seen every English-speaking international
every
version
iteration. Annabelle, he knows
Do
you.
think Jonathan Ross knows who I am? I would die.
Yes.
I would literally be deceased. Now, somebody else in the cars at the start floated an alliance and suggested they had an alliance, and it got shut down, but it has never come up, which makes me think maybe this is an alliance that's sticking. If you remember, Lucy suggested starting an alliance to her car of Kate, who we do see in episode 3, Lucy reassuring Kate, "If her name comes up again, I will defend you." We see Joe Wilkinson, who I don't think voted for Kate, and we see David. So I actually think that while Joe shut down, he's like, "Nah, I'm a lone wolf." I think this is an actual alliance of 4.
Okay, so Lucy, Joe Wilkinson, Kate, and who was the 4th?
David.
Okay. I could see that. I can see the vision. I mean, of the 4th, the most vocal is Joe Wilkinson, followed by Kate, but Kate's also just kind of in the trenches fighting allegations. Lucy and David kind of got a good deal of just being a little quiet, a little unassuming. It's not a bad mix of people, and Joe's been working on other Joe. The Joe and Joe connection is strong. They're the two heads that put together the idea that it could be the two big dogs going at each other, or being set up to go at each other. So, I mean, this is how you should do an alliance, not, "Hey, you said alliance." I never said those words, never left my mouth. As a matter of fact, you're a traitor.
Talk about the suspiciousness of Raising having an alliance. If they weren't an alliance, someone would have said, "Oh, well, Lucy suggested that as well."
That's a good point. That would have been aired out. Yeah.
I just think this is an under the radar one. It's not the most exciting alliance in the world, but I think it's a real one.
In a celebrity season, if you got an alliance, that means you play in the game. And I like that a lot. Again, this cast is playing the goddamn game. They're playing it in such an entertaining way that I can't even be mad at it. Would I have expected them to have gotten a traitor by now? Yes. But at the same time, Annabelle, how often are we going to be able to talk about the fact that our second banishment of the season came down to 4 votes? 4 votes dictated Tamika's exit from the game. 4.
This was so stressful. I was shocked when Joe Marlowe voted for Kate and didn't end up backing his own big dogs theory, but I was kind
Mm-hmm.
of grateful he didn't because we could have lost Stephen Fry here.
Which would have been nuts.
Literally nuts. Also, very weird vote. Tamika, who ends up going out here, has been trying to beat the It's Mark drum all day. No one's picking up what she's putting
I
down.
was, and honestly, no offense to her, that's why I was very content with her leaving, because she was accused of being a traitor and then just focused on the person who accused her as a traitor the rest of the way.
Not a single person voted for Mark, including her. She voted for Celia.
She switched up.
Yeah, it was all over the place. Jonathan and Stephen get a couple of votes. Other than that, everyone's getting one vote each, except for Tamika.
Well, the first like 7 votes were one-offs. It was 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, and it was Lucy did vote for Jonathan, crossed it off, and then wrote David's name, which, if they're in alliance, make that one make sense, Annabelle.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes. Okay. That's coming into alliance theory. I still think they have an alliance. I still think at least Kate and Lucy seem to be sticking together.
Those two, I think, are working together in some capacity. Yes, for sure. David might just be Daviding, for all we know.
David could be Daviding. Other interesting fun fact, by the end of episode 4, because I'm like, what is going on with Celia here? Celia and Joe are Rugby Joe consistently not voting with the group. So at no point throughout these episodes have those two jumped on something. They're always out doing something rogue.
Yeah, let's see. So Rugby Joe voted Jonathan, and Celia voted David in that last vote.
Yep. And Celia voted Kat, and Joe Marlowe voted Kate in episode 3. And in the first one we had, I guess Rugby Joe did jump on the Nico thing here. All right. I keep throwing out these theories and they keep falling flat on their face. But Celia voted.
What is your theory that they're not they're voting off people not in the consensus?
Well, I think it's showing. I mean, there's people like Kate, right, who very much want to vote with the group, as did Tom Daly. Tom Daly was being very conscious of the game. He was coming in as a gamer. He gets into confrontation with Jonathan. Jonathan's like, you had all of these theories, Tom, and you didn't bring any of them at the round table. Tom says he's trying to walk a tightrope. He doesn't want to get murdered. Whereas I think Celia and Joe are playing kind of rogue agents. I don't think they're coming in here as gamer strategists. Celia's stress farting. She's putting the puss in the well, getting it wet. And Joe is just going, I think, with what he thinks and getting a bit frustrated he doesn't have more clout there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think despite the fact that Joe is being quite accurate and you could worry for him as a murderer, I think the fact that neither of them seem to have much influence. Kat is not at all bothered about Celia putting her name on parchment. I think the two of them are sitting pretty next week, at the very least.
I think so too. I just don't see a lot of people going in that direction. I think that the good news for everybody that isn't one of the big dogs is that their names aren't really going to be out there like that unless they've gained some traction already. So if Rugby Joe suddenly gets a lot of heat, that would be surprising to me. I just don't see that happening. I don't see Celia happening. I'm more mean
murders. I'm more mean for murders. I mean, they're not.
You're more mean for murders. Out. Well, for murders, let's make sense of these murders, because so far Paloma was listen, I can't touch anyone else's face easy enough. Tom, we've already explained now. Ruth was 100% a Jonathan murder, easily done. And now this shortlist, to me, I disagree with the shortlist they have in front of them in Charlotte, David, and Kate. I think this is arguably the worst 3 you could pick. I think the 2 Joes should be in contention. And is this the wait? Mark doesn't have a shield right now, does he?
No. So the issue is that they can't. They're with Kat. Fan of the show.
This is the group thing. This is the group thing.
The shield strategy.
So we call it the Annabelle here. Sorry, call it the Annabelle.
Thank you. They can't. Who is it that they
Yes.
can't go for here? They can't go for Kat, obviously, or Alan. No, they can't go for either of the Joes,
Okay.
Celia, Nick, or Lucy, which are probably the people who you would want to go for here. The Joes and Lucy, who are very clear.
Mhm.
Celia, who's very clear but not threatening. Nick, who
Mhm.
is quite threatening. So they're not left with a lot of options.
Mark is on the table, though, right?
Mark is on the table, but people are starting to talk about Mark. They
Because he's
feel
being
like
very dramatic.
he's OTT.
Yes, that literally was said on the episode, which
Yes.
my little nerd brain was like, "Oh, you say an OTT like that in a show like this?"
Yeah,
Okay.
it's Alan and Joe. Joe Marler have a conversation before Alan goes up to the turret, where Joe says he's just acting too extra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my defense, it's 3 a.m. my time, so that's why I forgot that, but it's fine. We're good. That being said, this is a very unfortunate outcome for them then, because
Okay.
I do think it's a more boring murder that's about to happen here. But as long as the chaos stays the same, I'm not particularly mad at it for them. I almost think of the three, who has the most sus on them right now in Charlotte, David, and Kate?
I think Charlotte does. Like Kate got a lot of heat at the start
Mhm.
and hasn't really come back up again.
Yeah.
Charlotte is consistently looked at and has the finger pointed at her. The
Yeah.
problem here is that they keep considering Charlotte for murder.
Yes. I think I co-sign with you. To me, Kate's sus went away with Nico's banishment. And instead of completing a 50-50, they just never revisited it. Unless she survives long enough to get to, like, say, final 6, I don't see them revisiting that right now. So murdering her could be great, because I do think David will get stitched up for not contributing enough in conversation. Because the defense of, I'm not good at this, is not going to work when they get later into the game. But at the same time, David murder could be good because it's taking out a more quiet player, a quiet player doesn't interrupt tides, but also will not defend you if you're being accused. And also, if they're not floating anyone else's name, they're just a vote that could pile on you anyway. So you don't need that in your life. Versus a Kate, that sus could come back. Kate could work with you, accuse somebody. Who's Kate been voting for? Actually, let me look.
Kate famously just does what everybody else is doing. She kind of doesn't think for herself. She's like, I have no idea. I'll just go along with it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think they're concerned that even though David's been completely wrong to date, he's more likely to come up with an idea. And then they're worried that Charlotte, who's the queen of loud and wrong, as Kat points out, she's not a threat to us. Jonathan, who's trying to rule the turret with an iron fist, is concerned that what if she does decide to turn on us, and then she would push really hard for it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I'm pretty sure, who was it Charlotte? Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So for me, both the names we called out, you're right, are voting with the majority. I just checked. Kate voted for Tamika twice and then voted out Claire in the last one. And then Charlotte has also voted Tamika, and in this last one voted Claire. So and voted Nico out the first round. So to me, this is like, these two are people that are going to just go with groupthink. And if you've been loud enough, they're going to follow you to some capacity. If they've not written your name down after all the stuff that came up in this little bit, they're fine. You know what's going to happen is the other side of the coin, right? Where they're like, oh, David's not contributing. That's suspect. The other side is David is just cleared as innocent easily. And then when he's like, you know what? I've been waiting. As a historian, you always wait for your stories and wait for them to unfold. And let me tell you, everybody, I'm ready for my story. I have a name now. And they're like, ooh, what's the name? And he's like, it's Jonathan Ross. That might work. That might work. Sometimes if they think you're a complete faithful and you finally give them a name, they're like, David, this is your moment in history. Let's mark that moment. Let's make history, David. I don't have anything else to say about history, apparently, but just that same line over and over that I'm going to overuse by the end of the season. But then he makes history and he gets out Jonathan Ross.
Yes. I don't think that will ever happen. I think David's just going to be fairly wrong throughout this. I also don't know that we can afford to lose any of our non-white contestants at this stage, as it's been an absolute bloodbath in the first
It
2
was
weeks.
looking bad. We did buck the trend a little bit, but my God, it was tough. But yeah.
But I feel like Charlotte and Kate are both more likely to cop heat in the next couple of roundtables than
Same.
David is. So I think of the three, they've probably got to go David, but I don't know that's what I'd predict that they will really do.
Predictions are out the door because I genuinely did not expect Tom Daly to be gone this early as a murderer.
I predicted that. That was the one thing I got right.
It's true. We'll give you your flowers for that and many other things that you've been correct with. Oh, can I say this? And you can feel free to not answer this if you don't want to. Is this cast more forward thinking, potentially more strategic, but more forward thinking than your cast of the Traitors?
I mean, that's not hard.
It could be hard to answer it out loud.
I mean, no, my cast had no idea what was going on. Famously, that's not a big secret.
Yeah, but you I don't know if it was you might want to be nice and not say that, but I agreed. Hard agreed. Yeah, no, it's again, this cast is impressing me in many ways. Also, shout out to
Joe Wilkinson and the Joes come up with a theory that kind of makes sense, and people don't immediately point the finger at them and go, "How dare you come up with a theory that makes sense? Get out of here, manipulator."
Yeah, at most, the only thing that they do is kind of second guess it because what a double bluff would just be too dumb. Like they're going to be dumb enough to do that, would they? Like, but they don't poo-poo the idea. Like they don't call Joe an idiot and then try and vote out Rugby Joe. So that's nice. That being said, also shout out to the Celebrity Traitors UK. I saw a post today. It is now the most watched program in the UK of this year, and it's only been 2 weeks in.
Yeah, incredible. And I'm not shocked because it was already The Traitors was huge there, and this cast is just absolutely massive. They're delivering. And so have we discussed Kat and Alan making an alliance of Traitors Alliance yet?
Yeah, we have not, but I love it. I love it a lot.
I love this. After it's episode 3, when Jonathan Wassy is already copping it, Alan, showing some strategic chops, pulls aside Kat and is like, "Look, if the ball does get rolling on Jonathan, if we had to turn on him, we would, right?"
And I love that the answer is yes, we would. And it was like, if there was one more vote on him, I would have done it. Like, incredible. I think incredible. Annabelle, it's just so funny to me. The juxtaposition of the look Kat and Jonathan gave each other when Alan got uncloaked, and they were like, "Oh shit, this is the guy we're with." To now Alan being the one to be like, "Get a load of this guy. Like he's really falling apart, isn't he? Let's work together." Again, Kat in the great spot, and Alan and Kat. I love this alliance. This is a very fun, unassuming alliance. So the theory, and I do like that because I don't remember who brought up the theory of I'm looking at people who aren't talking to each other because traitors might not want to do that. The fact that Kat and Alan talk, a legend. I will protect her with everything. The fact that Kat and Alan have talked enough where that sus isn't on them, but they're still probably a very unassuming duo is amazing. I'm very happy.
I just love that. And what I thought, I mean, the duo within a trio of traitors making a pact that they stick together and let the other one go, not new. What I thought was really powerful was that they then didn't immediately turn on Jonathan. At no point have they started pushing Jonathan. They still defend him. They don't vote for him, which puts them in an amazing position, because I think we've discussed this before, but once you catch one traitor, you have some hard evidence, and it's much easier to catch the rest of them. And traitors are too quick to do traitor on traitor violence. They have agreed that if the time comes where he's going out anyway, they will jump on the bandwagon, but they aren't actively pushing that bandwagon and therefore giving the faithful more evidence.
That is brilliant, because I just feel like how many seasons now in recent memory have we watched where we do see the traitor on traitor happen and then immediately someone calls it out? Basically, at this day and age, the meta is if a traitor gets voted out, look at the person who spearheaded that and then vote them out. And you probably got another traitor. So this is incredible thinking on their part, which is we just have an understanding of if it's too late to save him, we let it go. We don't really defend him. We just kind of let people say what they want to say, and then when the time is right, we'll pile on in the votes, and no one will think anything of it. I think that's the best way to go. Just sneak in the middle of votes.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. And I feel bad for Jonathan because obviously dick swinger to dick swinger. When you have that kind of personality, you cannot help but want to be super loud in the turret, want to be super loud at the round table. Like, I'm sure in his mind, he didn't go in thinking, I need to be the center of attention in every single scene. But he just can't help him. He can't help himself. He can't help himself. And he's doing a good job. I just think it's inevitable. It's inevitable at this point. I don't know that he'll go out in episode 5, but I can't see him making it through episode 6 alive.
I would be surprised if he makes it out of episode 5. Impressed and surprised. But then if he survives episode 5, Annabelle, I'm not willing to say he doesn't survive episode 6. At that point, he could make the run. We've seen traitors with way more evidence against them make it further than Jonathan has so far. And I thought Jonathan, and like, bless him, but I feel like Jonathan, there were moments where I was like, how do you get out of this? There's no way. And then he did the one thing that is very risky in murdering the most vocal person against him. And that stops the yelling, but then could that be enough evidence to put him away? They still don't put him away. So if he survives episode 5, he's not leaving episode 6. That's my prediction.
Okay, I like that. I'm glad. Okay, I want to talk about the murder of Ruth here because I have been floating the idea now for at least the last couple of years that I think if you're a traitor and someone's pushing your name, you should just murder them. Rather than this idea that this person is protected because it'll be too obvious if you murder them. And now you've got this person in the game who's actively pushing for you. I have backed that without giving spoilers, but because there has been another season where a traitor just got rid of everybody who ever brought their name up and floated through nicely and won the whole game. However, the person who did that and won, very under the radar. Never had a kind of big fight about it at a round table. So I'm wondering if with Jonathan, the fact that he is so loud and proud, the fact that it is so public, because I think Boston Rob tried to pull the same thing. I think maybe if you're that personality, you can't pull it off. And it's only for if you're under the radar. But I think Jonathan's not doing too badly.
He's not. I think the thing working against him the most actually is independent of the Ruth sus, independent of the Claire sus. It's the fact that he's seen as a pillar and as number 1 or 2 in the most famous people here. And in this meta that they would have these two on opposing islands facing each other. So that's working against him more than anything. But I do love the idea that you're putting out here and this is another thing that you and I have talked about a lot with more seasons coming. The whole, like, at some point we were like, okay, yeah, have the what was it called? The traitor angel versus don't do that shit. Like, you don't need that. I think there's an evolution here where do you really want to reward the person saying your name by keeping them and hoping they don't have the votes to get rid of you? Or do you just get rid of them and hope that, again, it plugs the silence and you can hide? I love the point you're bringing up that if you're more under the radar type of person, you can get away with that. The problem is Jonathan is a massive peacock here where, yeah, the person most loudest against him is gone. He's still Jonathan goddamn Ross. He's still someone who everyone's going to recognize and everyone's going to notice when he walks into the room. He does not have the abilities that, and I love his work on history. He does not have what David has. David walks into the room like, oh yeah, and David is also here. It's Jonathan is in the room and all these other people and David. Like, he's first name on the list. That's very hard to hide from no matter what you're doing.
And in those fabulous costumes as well. Yabba dabba don't.
Yeah. 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 Doing a lot with the outfits.
Oh, he's so amazing. Have you seen Kat and Alan's, speaking of outfits, Kat and Alan's TikToks?
Kat and Alan. No, I have not. I've seen
They're
Alan's.
so
I've seen
good.
some Alan looks that Alan's been putting out. I have been seeing those.
Oh, you've got to watch them. They're so fun.
I will. I'll do that. They're having fun with this
Yeah.
is something that maybe is more UK centric than anything. Just watching these players have this much fun with it. These celebrities, sorry, have this much fun with it.
Yeah. I love it. And Jonathan has said that he actually struggled a lot with the psychological element of the game. And we're seeing Mark struggle a little bit now as well. I'm actually worried about Mark for episode 5, just because we have seen Joe Marler start to think about him. We saw just how distressed he was after Tamika goes out. He's kind of been the ringleader of that, and he's incorrect. He's gutted about voting out Claire and being wrong there as well. I don't know that they were all, I think they've, because it's such a wholesome family show in England, I don't think people understood how brutal it is. And I'm worried Mark's going to crack and he's going to go down without a fight.
I had a moment. There was a moment of him walking out into the main hallway that I was like, is he about to quit? Like, it really felt like he was about to walk out the front door and never look back. So I think that's the reality of it. And we saw this from season 1 of Traitors UK, where the banishments just somehow feel a lot heavier to them. So to me, unless they get a traitor soon, I think it's going to break him. I think he needs to be fed more than anybody right now.
Oh, he's starving. Bless him.
Yeah. So should we talk about the missions 40 minutes into this podcast?
Yes. Let's talk about the missions.
I'm not mad at these missions, you know. I've been enjoying them.
I think they're really fun. I thought they were really fun. The only thing that's really annoying me is that they are being all kind of chivalrous about the shield situation in both missions this week. You know, there's an advantage for people or an opportunity to be sneaky and go out and snatch the shield for yourself. But instead, they all very politely wait until the task is finished, and in the last 5 minutes go looking for the shields all as a group. And then are like, if somebody, they don't fight over trying to get the shield either. They're like, oh no, you go ahead, you find it. And snooze, I want to see you fight. I'm just saying, if Tom Daly and Nico were there, and we haven't spoken about the biggest moment of this week, by the way, which was the collective gasp heard around the world from all the gays when Tom had a shower scene. But anyway, Tom and Nico, they would have been fighting tooth and nail, and you can't tell me they wouldn't.
Oh, 1000%. Or at least Nico would have said some side comment to throw everything into a whole argument, because I think, and I really wish they would punish someone for, like, because Kat had the forethought to be like, hey, our group, we don't say who got the shield, and then we're all safe, versus Stephen Fry wearing it proudly and Jonathan handing it to him, which I was like, how is this not going to, again, this is the second season now in the last year where I'm like, why are y'all not calling out the fact that this person gave up a shield? This should be the most coveted item. Why be like, Steven, here you go.
He already forgot he had one when he did.
Yeah.
Like, clearly Jonathan doesn't care about the shields.
No. So to me, I agree with you. It's a little too diplomatic, but they're about to learn very quickly that, hey, had we just kept that to ourselves, we would have all been safe. Also, if I'm Jonathan, I would have, it's hard, it's 2v1, but I would push a little bit of like, let's just get someone from your side, because that'll be fun or something. Because I don't like a world where, you know, I'm safe on my side and I don't get murdered after all the stuff I'm going through. It's just going to make me look like more of a suspect potentially.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't think he would get murdered because he's such a big target. This is if he wasn't a traitor. But it is in his interest for a little bit of suspicion to be on the Shield protected group. It's just a shame because Stephen Fry was so public about the Shield, he can't really push back on that without really pissing off Kat. But he does kind of need them to come through for him.
Yeah. So we'll see if anyone does. Now, which mission do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the first one. I thought the one where Celia farts.
Well, that was the peak of the mission, and that was before the mission started.
Oh, our gassy goddess.
I love that they're peeling the curtain back on this celebrity season and just letting us see things that genuinely would be outtakes. On a good day, they might be on uncloaked. Like the fact that we're getting these on the episode proper is incredible. And it's so, it humanizes all the celebrities. It genuinely does. Like Celia being like, I'm sorry, you know me. If it happens, it happens. I'm going to cop to it though. Like that's what I did that one. Amazing. That's perfect. And like, I do. Was it Alan who claimed that he voted her because she did that? That was so funny. They all laughed.
Sorry,
They were just like, haha, yeah.
So I love her highly eccentric edit. I love her telling everyone I've been snooping, but she broke the first rule of snooping. Alan says she failed snooping school. You know, then we have the fart moment. We have the pussy down the well moment. She has her saying that she was convinced all day it was Jonathan Ross, but he's just so delicious. She gets distracted at the round table. Like, I'm just obsessed with her.
Give her her tens, honestly.
Great.
Yeah. So this mission we've seen before, some copy of it, where they're all locked together in a chain, in a circle, and then they have to find keys to unlock each other. And the more people you unlock, the more money is in the prize pot. And then you can find the shield also that's going to be somewhere. So we see this part, like I'm telling you, after this, for me, this was a little bit dull, but the parts that made it work was the fact that the first three people got out very quickly. It was what, Kat, Nick, and was it Steven? Or Steven was one of the first four
so.
at least.
Yeah.
They leave early. They leave outside to go complete some of the tasks to get the other keys, which was like fill water from here, put it in this hole, then have the keys full. But what they didn't realize was the more things they were doing outside, the more it was torturing the people inside by spilling water on them. The lights are going on and off. It was a chaos going on, which Kat did say, I am so happy I'm not in there after what I'm hearing. It didn't seem that bad.
It didn't seem that bad, but of course, Kate is being a massive ham about it. And I can't remember who said it, but someone said, like, the worst and most torturous part about this mission and the torture was being next to Kate.
I love the confessionals this season. They're so open. Like, it's like, yes, they're one big happy family, and yes, they're very cordial with each other, but man, maybe it's because half the cast is comedians. They are not holding back in being shady in the confessional. And I know they're doing it in a way that none of them are going to leave and be like, no, fuck this person. Like it's so nice.
Yeah, it is. It's just funny. And British roasting culture is fun. You know, you can have a dip.
You can't replicate that banter. It's such a good time. Yeah. Part of the reason why I'm in
the other mission.
What? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was moving on.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
The other mission I thought was more of an interesting watch. And I don't know if it was because it was watching Stephen Fry have to demean himself by sticking his head in water. But I loved it.
To me, it was the noises that came out of Celia was what sold it for me. The noises that I did, I was like, this does not sound like anything I can anticipate. And this to me is equivalent to, what was the name of the gentleman in UK season 3 last season, Annabelle? Who had
Alexander?
Yes, who had his big moment in the doll challenge where you had to make the noises, replicate the noises. Because this was basically that, but done a little bit differently. But some of these banshees were terrifying. I will say some of the noises, it was like sing-songy and then a shriek from hell in the same breath.
And it's just fun watching the celebrities do it. Like, even though this is the dolls mission, but just slightly different. It's different because we're watching Stephen Fry do it. It's different because we're watching Celia Imrie do it.
Yeah. And I again, because they're all so into it, it works out really well. No one's acting like they're above all this. They're all leaning in and being cheeky, which is amazing. So it's, to me, it's like I remember watching my parents and my grandparents growing up, and I was like, these are like these are serious people, right? These are like legit serious people. And then you get older and you're having a drink or two around them and you're watching, you're like, oh, they're just playing card games and being chill. Like they're talking shit like I talk shit. And it's that for me, the celebrities. I'm like, you are regular people just being silly and goofy also. They're like us.
Celia
I don't
reminds
know.
me so much of my grandma, so much. She's out there being outrageously flirty and just a little bit silly and eccentric. I love it.
Yeah, I love her. This challenge was a lot of fun. They've done well with through 4 episodes. They've gained 31,500 in the prize pot. They've kind of been snapping.
Look, for an older cast, we can't say they haven't been. I mean, Nick is carrying a lot of it, and it helped having those musicians, but, you know, none of them are totally flubbing it like Patrick over on Ireland.
No. Okay, so that was both missions, right? We didn't leave anything out, do you think?
No, I don't think we have.
Okay, now yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm trying not to be bossy. Trying not to go full
You are
was.
not bossy. You're good.
I have a Jonathan was about me. I can't deny it.
You're saying you
The
and
question
Jonathan?
is, are you Alan Carr or are you Cat Burns?
Ooh, you tell me. I don't know. Which one would you reckon I'm more like?
Oh, I don't know. I think if they had a baby, like, I think you've got, you know, you try and do the serious Cat Burns of it all. You've got the mind for it, but then that Alan Carr just slips out.
I feel like you've seen me more in my Alan Carr element than the viewers may have. When we're not recording a very serious show that is Stephen Fry putting his head in the water and Celia making noises no one else could ever replicate. Okay.
Obsessed.
So then let's move on and talk. Would you like to do predictions next? Is that where we're at here?
Let's do
predictions.
That's where I want to
Okay.
go. All right. So I wasn't great with my predictions last time, but I'm feeling a bit more confident. I think they should murder David. I'm not entirely convinced they won't murder Charlotte. So I am going to take a big risk. They won't stop talking about murdering Charlotte. I think they're going to murder Charlotte. And then I think Mark is going to go out next week as well. I think Mark ends up getting mercy banished. Give me Mark and Jonathan, mercy banishments. Give me a Mark and Jonathan banishments next week. And give me Charlotte and Joe, and I'm not going to specify which one, murders.
Okay. I co-sign the Mark banishment. I could see Mark getting to a place where they accuse him and he just can't defend himself because he's so distraught over the fact that he's been wrong and he can't just convince them otherwise. Mark goes out there. I co-sign. Jonathan, again, I echo, if he doesn't leave episode 5, he's not going episode 6. But so I'll keep the same banishments as you. For my murders, I'm going in a different direction because while I do see Charlotte being brought up a bunch, I do not see Charlotte being the one to leave here. I see Kate being the one to leave here, even though I think we both have basically agreed David should be the one to go of the 3. And then I feel like my guy had huge visibility week 1. Puzzle King, bit of a dud week for him. I could see him now unceremoniously going out in this next batch of episodes. And inevitably, when he does leave, I can see people trying to pivot and pin it on Celia. So that's kind of where I think this could be headed for Nick. That's what I will say. Also, Liana she didn't want me to point this out, but she brought it up and I had missed it. There was a moment where Nick was super enthused at the idea of playing badminton that just stuck out to her. She was like, because I was like, Nick has been invisible. No, he had the moment with the badminton. I was like, Liana, that's a moment in passing. Like, that doesn't count. But Nick has been a treat as well on the show. I just wish we saw more of him this week.
He wanted a spot of anyone for a spot of badminton. Alan was keen. Stephen Fry was like, I'll watch. And had to listen to Jonathan Ross bang on about how, oh, if I go out tonight, you look at Claire, that sneaky Claire. Jonathan really whipped those votes for Claire. He was working full time that day.
I wish I remembered the prediction we made last week about like who we thought was going to exceed expectations.
Oh, I think we said Lucy. Did
We
we?
said Lucy. Did we?
I think
That would
so.
exceed. And okay, well that didn't happen. So
No.
then was
Lucy or
there an
David, maybe.
who? Okay, how about this in real time? Who exceeded your expectations from episodes 1 and 2 to now episode 3 and 4? Who was an uptick
Joe
for you?
Wilkinson. I thought Joe Marler was very fun in the first 2 episodes, but Joe
Mhm.
Wilkinson, I was a bit meh on him. He has surged. I love the Joes. I don't know what they call it in Shakespeare, but when you have a bit of a break from the main story and it cuts to 2 comedic characters having an aside, like the comedic relief, that is the Joes for me. And Joe Wilkinson has really surged in my estimations. What about you?
Yeah, the Joe and Joe connection has been real. I would say Joe Marler, the Joe Rugby, because to me, he is someone who I genuinely did not come into this thinking would be a big gamer or really be thinking about the game like that. But the fact that he's the one pounding the drum the most of this, I think Jonathan's a traitor. I think Steven's a faithful. I think they're pitted against each other. And I think Jonathan's bad. And this is a double bluff. I was like, okay, this man has read it to filth. I never expected that from him. So he gets a huge uptick from me. So we're saying JoJo is our 2 picks for this award. The Invisible Award goes to Nick Muhammad for me. I just feel like the man has been banished this episode or this week.
Him and Lucy, we just haven't had a lot, and I know they have potential.
Oh, 100%. I just knowing how disappointed Liana is because Liana's watched Lucy, and I think she was on Taskmaster because she was like, "I gotta show you clips." I was like, "Please do," because I'm not getting them on the Traitors, so that's fine with me. Has your crush pick changed in the last week?
Oh, has my crush pick changed? I mean, it was sad to lose Ruth. She was great. Don't piss in my ear and call it rain. I can't remember who I picked, but like, let's reinforce
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte's still my crush pick.
The old double down on Charlotte. Okay.
All right. What about you?
Well, mine was Ruth, and Ruth's gone now. Now, man, if David had like 1 or 2 theories in him, a little more vocal, he'd get the pick. But I don't like the. Come on, you got to give me some.
No, I know. I need a bit more
spice.
Rest
on the you can't rest on the hair. Like, come on, man.
No,
the mysterious hair.
We'd eat David alive.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna go Alan. That charm.
There's something about Alan.
That charm. It
charming.
works. It works. Like a hot knife through butter. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Obsessed. Great choice.
Or Celia. I'll say it. Or Celia.
Okay.
All right. Is there anything else that we've not turned in this?
I don't think so. I'm going to pick Lucy again as who I hope is going to be a new standout next week. Like she's going to go to the end, so I need her to look good at some point.
I would just pick Lucy with you, but in the interest of adding a second name on the ballot, David, make history, my friend.
Come on,
make
David.
That history. Rewrite history. Don't let history repeat itself. Don't have us back here talking about you this way. Make us eat our words. Yeah. All right. Well, this was an absolute delight. We talked offline. We would like to think that you should expect this time of release per week moving forward. Now that we have our bearings about us, I'm back in Minnesota and everything's sorted out. So this was great. In the future, if it hits Friday, feel free to send us questions. Don't send them a little earlier, just in case I don't want either of us to get spoiled on anything. But if it's Friday, add us on socials at Pooyaism, at Annabel CE, with whatever questions you may have if you want us to address something directly that's been happening on the apps. Otherwise, we'll bring it through and we'll cover everything. Annabel, where can people find you and what other projects do you have going on or coming up?
You can find me over on Instagram, Annabel CE. Twitter, Annabel CEF. But find me on Babes on the Brink, because we've just released our cast assessment, a thorough one, a silly one for Traitors Canada, which premieres next week. Super excited about that, Pooya.
I'm pumped, but I feel like I'm not even ready because that's in like 4 days. So
Well,
kind of
listen to the
snuck up
cast
on us.
assessment and you'll be ready.
I know ready, but I mean like invested in an unhealthy way because I got friends on this cast that I want to see do well, you know?
Crazy.
Oh God. Yeah. I'm ready to be hurt all over again, but it's going to be a good time. And myself and Scally will be talking and covering it all season long here as well. So you can check those out. Coming up shortly in my other podcast over on the 90-Day Universe, I made the change from 90 Days Happily Ever After. It was not a happily ever after for me, but it will be because I moved over to the other way. And Annabel is joining me to cover the first 6 episodes, give y'all a big mega catch up on the season so that starting next week, we can be on the same bearings and do 1 episode a week. So I don't want to spoil anything, but fun fact, the episodes become 40 minutes per episode. So that's just math Pooya likes. Anyway, I hated that. Anyway, I said, yeah, never mind. I would say check out the pal, y'all, but no pal this week. Liana has been sick, sadly. So we will be back next week with a brand new episode. But until then, find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pooya. That's where I am when I'm not podcasting. And as we said at the beginning of the pod, sound off in the comments. Let us know what you liked and what you may not like about this season. If it's about me being shirtless, keep it to yourself. I'm very, very much asking you to keep it to yourself. But I know you may not do that.
Me being shirtless, feel free to share.
All right. Wow, the comment section about to be a war zone. All right. Y'all take care. Have a good one. We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.